is Judge Judy.
Jill Zimmerman is suing tutor David Casper for the return of money she paid him to tutor her daughter.
Order. All rise. It's case number 423 on the calendar, the matter of Zimmerman versus Casper.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Young lady, have a seat.
Mr. Casper, how long did you tutor the plaintiff's daughter?
Tutored her for all of her freshman year and her older brother for longer than that.
I'm talking about her. How long did you tutor her?
For an academic school year.
And what did you tutor her in?
High school geometry, Your Honor.
How many days a week?
Usually one, but I was flexible. If she needed extra time and there's a quiz, then I'd be willing to hop in the car and come over.
When you say you'd be willing to hop in the car and come over, you got paid.
I did.
And how much did you charge an hour?
100, because I had worked with her older brother.
I don't care. Just answer my question. I have other cases to do today. It's almost lunchtime, and I have something to do after work today. I want to tell you something. It's my show, not yours. Nobody cares whether you have a personality or not. So just answer my questions.
Your Honor,
okay?
to answer this,
just how much
in
do
truth,
you charge an hour?
I charged her 90. I charged new clients 100.
I don't care what you charge new clients.
That's fine.
I don't care whether you charge them 80 or 70 or 150 or whatever. You charged her $90 per hour. And she paid you at the time of your tutoring. Finished the day, you got paid $90. Did you get paid $90 by check or cash?
I believe with her it was check. Sometimes we might have used Venmo. I had a lot of different clients. I don't remember the specifics.
It was just check.
Check. Made out to him.
Made out to David Casper.
For a year.
For my daughter, Shay.
So in the course of a year, she was tutored at least once a week?
There was times when she was not tutored once a week.
Okay. How much money did Miss Zimmerman pay you in the freshman year just for tutoring?
I would have to go back and look at the math.
How much would you estimate?
Yeah, it ends up being about 25 sessions times 90.
And what's your main source of income?
I'm a stay-at-home mom.
And what's your main source of income, Mr. Casper?
It used to be tutoring.
Shh. It was tutoring.
It is no longer.
But it was tutoring.
At the time, yes, Your Honor.
And you made out the checks to him. Did you 1099 him at the end of the year?
I did not.
Did we all know what 1099 is? That means when you make over a certain amount of money and it's not to a corporation or an LLC, you have to 1099 the person who you paid that money, 1099 him.
Never.
Because the government gets that. Now, when he tutored your son, how long did he tutor your son?
He started tutoring my son in December of 2017 and continued tutoring him until we got the letter last spring.
Okay, so he tutored him from December until when?
Until June of 2019.
Your Honor, she made reference to a letter if you'd like to see.
I don't want to see a letter. Right now I'm on your taxes.
I'll have it ready when you're ready.
Great. Did you 1099 him on any of the money that you paid to him for your son?
No.
You do know you're under an obligation to do that.
I do now.
And he's under an obligation to report it. Now, you said you had a lot of other clients, Mr. Casper. How many of your other clients gave you 1099s?
0, Your Honor.
In the year 2018, how much did you report to the government that you earned?
I would have to look at my tax records to give you a precise number.
Did you do your taxes alone, or did you do them with an accountant?
I file my own taxes, Your Honor.
Fine. We'll recall the case. Come out and tell me how much you told the federal government you earned in 2018. We'll recall. You want to look it up? Look it up. Curious.
In gross income of $42,878.83.
How much from tutoring?
100%.
And of that $42,000, at least $5,000 of that came from this family.
Again, I'd have to look at the precise records, but I would guess it might have been less than that.
Were you tutoring both children?
Sometimes they would trade off. I didn't do 2 hours every single week.
But sometimes you ran over in a rush if they needed a test or a quiz.
Sure.
And how many clients did you have?
It varied, but around 25 a week.
Well, I must be getting something wrong here. Bird, would you take the calculator?
Sure.
For me. So he had about 25 clients a week. And he charged them $90 each. Let's say $90. Some he charged them, but let's say 90. And let's do, because maybe he didn't tutor them over the summer because they don't have geometry over the summer. So let's say it's 50 weeks.
Your Honor,
Don't speak. Don't speak. What does that come to?
It's actually $112,500.
That's right. So it's not $42,000, it's $112.50, and that's only for 50 weeks a year. So let's say it's 49 weeks a year or 48 weeks a year. So it's $100,000. Get to what the case is about. You understand where I'm going? We don't have to play with each other. I'm older than you are. I know the rules. I know the game. I know 1099s. I know what you do.
Your Honor, you also don't have kids in school on the academic calendar. Tutoring 50 weeks per year when there's no homework during summer break and Christmas break and spring break.
I took off those weeks, sir. And I took it down, not 52 weeks, I took it down to 48 weeks. And even at 48 weeks, sir, which gives you the summer months off.
Yeah, 4 weeks of summer break? 52 minus 4 is 48. So there's 52 weeks in a year.
Let's try it. You had 25 clients a week, which is what you told me, and you charged each client $90 a week. And let's say they had one session a week. Okay? How many weeks do you want me to consider, sir?
Thank you for asking. I think a much more reasonable number would be something about 39.
Okay. You had 25 clients a week times 39.
There are a lot of breaks in the school year.
Times 39. That's 87,750, not 4211.
And you'll remember that I said it varies. There's a ramp-up time in the fall where I don't have a full schedule on the very first week of school.
Very first week of school.
That's hard to do.
So take it down from 87 to 80. That still means you're reporting half the income that you earned. I'm dealing with. You sent a letter at some point after you tutored her son and her daughter that you decided to leave tutoring and go back to school. And then you sent all your clients a letter. I'd like to see a copy of the letter from you. Not on your case yet. So what he's doing in this letter, he's saying thank you to everybody. It's been a wonderful opportunity for the last few years for him to do tutoring. It's been a privilege. If there's an academic emergency arises, there's a chance he may be able to make a trip over Saturday or Sunday, but he plans to continue his normal tutoring through March 31st, 2019. Finally, if it would make you happy to invest in me and my education. Are you following me, Bird?
I'm hearing you.
I would be deeply thankful. I currently owe $9,000 in tuition, which I am financing through my home equity line of credit. As a small way of saying thank you, I assume that means thank you to you for tutoring their children. Thank you.
That's not what I meant, Your Honor.
If you donate $3,000 or more, I will guarantee in-person sessions once a week from April 1st until graduation. This is a small token of thanks. I don't know whose thanks. Thank you for your consideration. If you choose this, please contact me, and I will let you know the details. Now, when you got this letter, did you contact him?
We did not. We discussed it at the next tutoring session when he came back.
Okay, and when was that? This letter was written March 3rd.
We did not get it March 3rd. We got it probably March 27th. That's when he gave us the letter.
Oh, that's when he gave you the letter. Did you discuss the letter with him at that time?
He left it with us, and then I discussed it with my ex-husband.
Okay, and when was the next time you saw him?
April 20th.
Fortune.
You came into some money.
About $100,000.
His opportunity.
You discussed flipping houses, going into business with him.
But their partnership.
How much did he put in?
$0.
Was far from fair.
She bought you out of the house. You're ahead $30,000 from nothing.
This is Judge Judy.
Gabrielle Corriette is suing her former friend, Alberto Alberti, for an
Order. All rise. It's case 442 on the calendar, the matter of Corriette versus Alberti. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Alberti, how do you know the plaintiff?
I used to throw like a Latin party in Spokane, Washington, and she was walking down the street and I was promoting, and that's how we met.
And what do you do now?
I'm a barber and I'm a DJ.
You have children?
Yes.
How many?
3.
How old are they?
10, 8, and 2.5.
And who do they live with?
They live with their mom. It's like half and half, pretty much.
Where does their mother live?
In the same town, Spokane, Washington.
Does she work?
Yes.
Are you under a child support order?
Yes.
How much?
It's $430.
How often?
It's once a month.
And how long have you been under the child support order?
Since they were born.
So you never lived with their mother?
I did.
Well, then somebody was cheating somebody. Because if you were living with their mother since they were born, why would you be under a child support order?
We separated when my child was recently born. So her mom suggested her, and I feel like she did it pretty much out of spite. You know what I mean? Because...
I don't know what you mean. You said 8, 10, and 2.5. So is what you're telling me you separated when... Okay. And since then, you've been under a child support order?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do the children get any sort of government aid?
I don't know exactly what that means.
Welfare, assistance?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm not 100%.
Was there a time when you were in arrears of your child support order?
Yes.
How much in arrears?
They probably came up to be like about $4,000.
How did you know it was about $4,000?
Because I looked into it before we purchased the house.
Did anybody contact you about taking your driver's license away?
No, they didn't.
Do you file tax returns?
Yes, I did.
Did anybody ever take your refund if you were due one?
No.
So you knew the plaintiff and you came into some money.
Yes, ma'am.
How much money did you come into?
About $100,000.
And there had been a time when you and the defendant were involved in a romantic relationship.
Briefly, yes.
And then just friends.
Yes, Your Honor.
And after you came into this money, you discussed, according to you, flipping houses, going into business with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
But when you went to buy the first house to flip, couldn't buy it because he had this outstanding child support debt.
Yes, Your Honor. And I had already put $2,000 to hold the house.
To get rid of that $4,000 worth of debt, what did you do?
He came to me and asked if I would pay the debt for him, and once the house sold, he would pay me back.
Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what I'd like you to do is tell me now, because I don't have to get into the whole mess of she finally brought you out of the house. She gave you $26,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer.
Sorry. Yes, Your Honor.
So what I'd like you to tell me is how much money you put into the house.
Approximately $15,000.
$15,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
So let me see. You put in 15. Is that right?
No, Your Honor.
How much did he put in?
0, because there was a $20,000 holdback fund for renovations on the house, which he withdrew from to pay the contractors.
You have any proof that you put in $15,000?
I do not have any proof right now, but I gave it to her. And since the house was sold, I actually got rid of the evidence. But I had it all, the expensive that I spent.
That doesn't do anything for me.
Okay.
Nothing. So let me see. She bought you out of the house for $26,000. And in addition to the $26,000 that she bought you out of the house for, she gave you another $4,000 to pay off your child support. That's $30,000. And you got nothing there standing there but a reasonably good charming. You see, I don't find any of that charming. I find that just to be a taker and a slug. Now, she had no pleasure out of making these 3 children. These were your 3 children. They're your responsibility to pay child support for. The fact that you're a DJ and a barber and primarily in a cash business and don't pay your taxes, which you don't, there's no question that you don't report all the money that you earn. So you're sort of slippery, so they can't attach your salary because you don't get a salary. That's why your arrears went up to $4,000, because otherwise they just scoop in and they attach it. So you're a slippery slug who took advantage of somebody
I'm trying to buy my time over here. Don't say anything.
Who had come into some money. So far, you're ahead of the game $30,000. $4,000 of it was for child support. I haven't heard how much money you made. How much money did you make so far on this adventure with him?
Yeah, I didn't make any money on the house, and if I were to sell it today, I would still take a loss.
That's a lie.
Well, I don't know that because it hasn't been sold yet, but so far, she hasn't made any money, and you're ahead $30,000.
Okay, so pretty much how everything is started up is the offer was presented to me.
I'm just asking you, is that a yes or a no? So far, because she came into some money.
How can I be ahead when the house is worth more than $3,000 now, and the house was only bought in $190,000, and she wanted to keep the house, not me. So she bought me out to keep the house.
So far, you're ahead $30,000 from nothing. You didn't do anything.
I did a lot.
Somebody else paid your child support for your 3 children. Somebody else paid your child support for your 3 children, plus she bought you out of a house because your name was on the paperwork with her. So in order to get your name off the paperwork, because she probably figured you were a slug, finally got through her brain that you were a slug, she bought you out for $26,000. All I'm saying is you're ahead $30,000 from nothing. That's a very good investment. If I could put in 0 and come out $30,000 in a period of a year,
Yes, Your Honor.
that's a pretty good investment. Go take a look at the stock market today.
For a second, I thought I was going to be able to defend myself.
$4,000. That's what you owe her. She's not paying your child support. You pay your own child support. Judgment for the plaintiff, $4,000. We're done here.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
To keep a house, it costs $300,000 for $190,000. I mean, come on.
He wasn't doing work. He wasn't putting any money into the house.
That's why she wanted to buy me out.
He was going to walk away with all
Oh, I want to keep this house.
and I have nothing to show for it.
Absolutely not took advantage of her, man.
Yes, lesson learned.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Calhoun versus Hernandez. Step forward.
Amanda Calhoun is suing Maribel Hernandez for vet bills after Maribel's stray pit bull savagely attacked her chihuahua.
Miss Calhoun, you're a very nice person.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sometimes bad things happen to very nice people. So this is basically what the case is about. This is your little dog.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you found a stray dog. When did you find the stray dog?
On December 31st, around 1 a.m.,
Where was it?
he wandered into my front yard, Your Honor.
Where do you live?
I live in Pomona. It's not the best neighborhood, Your Honor, so...
So you took the dog inside?
I put him in my backyard after feeding him. Initially, it was just, we're in the front yard.
What kind of dog?
It's like a pit bull mix, Your Honor.
First clue. What happened was you ultimately took the dog in. It had a chip, and it was chipped to the defendant.
Yes, Your Honor.
You contacted her, had a conversation, and when you had a conversation with her, did she at any time tell you that the dog wasn't hers?
No, Your Honor.
But in the meantime, you let the dog stay in the house with your dog.
Yes, Your Honor.
Big mistake. And your dog and this pit bull mix got into a fight over food.
Yes, Your Honor.
I assume your little dog went over to bigger dog's food dish?
Not exactly, Your Honor. We fed them separately to try to prevent something like this. So we fed the bigger dog first by himself. It was leftover food in the bowl that they ended up fighting over.
Whose leftover food?
The small
little
dog, Your Honor.
ones.
Yes, Your Honor.
And your dog was seriously injured.
Yes, Your Honor. Brutally, seriously injured.
You want the defendant to be responsible for the vet bills.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much are the vet bills?
$2,152.90, Your Honor.
When did you get this dog?
I got him in 2017 in May.
From where did you get the dog?
I got him off of Craigslist from a family.
How old was the dog when you got him?
He was 3 months old.
So you had the dog for several years.
Yes.
Who else lives in your home?
At the moment, my fiance lives with me.
Do you work?
I work, yes.
Who watches the dog during the day?
My fiance.
He doesn't work.
No.
Stand up. How did the dog get out on December 31st?
I wasn't there around that month. I had just got there.
What does that mean? You weren't there around that month?
You
got
said
there.
September?
No, December.
Until she had picked up the dog.
So...
Don't speak. I don't want to hear you.
Yes.
Where were you on December 31st?
At home.
Where was the dog?
At her house.
You mean at the plaintiff's house?
Yes, I lived separately.
At the time.
So you weren't watching the dog during the day?
Not around the time that she had given the dog.
What?
So I had...
No, I don't want to hear you. Do you understand?
Yes.
At all?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If I saw pit bull mix in my front yard, I would not bring it into my house with my 3 Shih Tzus.
She wouldn't have her dog right now if I didn't take her dog in.
What I'm telling you, I would not take a pit bull into my house that I found on the street.
Amanda Calhoun says after she took in a stray pit bull owned by Maribel Hernandez, the dog attacked and maimed her Chihuahua.
Now, when did you and Miss Hernandez start to live together? In what month and year? Look at me. In what month and together?
January 15th of this year.
Prior to that time, Miss Hernandez was living alone?
Yes.
Do you know who was watching the dog?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever discuss, since you don't work, did you ever discuss with her who was watching the dog?
No, Your Honor.
Well, before you moved in, you must have seen the dog, right?
Yes.
Yes. So you knew she had a dog?
Yes.
Well, you don't think it would come up in conversation? What do you do with the dog during the day when you're working?
We had just gotten together.
What month had you just gotten together?
January 15th.
What do you mean you just got together? You mean you just got together and moved in?
No, in the beginning of January we did. And I decided to stay there because I just moved from Michigan. So I decided to stay there.
Stay where?
At her place.
Beginning of January?
15th, yes.
How did you meet her?
We went to high school together.
So were you communicating online or on telephone?
In person, online, yes.
Well, prior to moving in on January 15th, when was the time immediately preceding that time that you saw her?
It was the week prior to her picking up the dog.
What do you mean the week prior?
When she went to go pick up Zeus from the plaintiff a week before that day, that's when I moved in with her. And she told me everything that had happened until we picked up the dog.
Did you go together to pick up the
dog?
Yes, ma'am. And what did she tell you about the dog when you went to pick the dog up?
She couldn't financially after her separation with her husband before me.
So she was married?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she still married?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did she and her husband separate?
I have no knowledge.
So continue.
No,
continue. She said after she and her husband separated.
She was working full time and by herself, couldn't financially take care of a dog with it at home by himself.
She couldn't financially take care of the dog.
So
what did she do?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I believe her that she had thought she had found a home and gave the dog to somebody else.
Well, she should have given me their information when we called her and asked her who the dog belonged to instead of taking ownership for it. Maybe they would have picked the dog up and it wouldn't have had the time to attack my dog.
Maybe. There are a lot of maybes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Amanda Calhoun says after she took in a stray pit bull owned by Maribel Hernandez, the dog attacked and maimed her Chihuahua.
She couldn't financially take care of the dog.
She had got him. She put him on Craigslist to try to find a good home. And once she did, because of what I know, when she found a good home, she took the dog to the gentleman, and they waited a while they got to know each other and play along, and, then they went their separate ways. And that's when she had found out that the dog got out.
You mean from this gentleman?
From the gentleman that she...
Craigslist?
Yes.
When did you find the gentleman on Craigslist?
November 11th.
Do you have his name?
No, ma'am, I don't quite remember.
Do you remember where he lived?
I didn't ask him where he lived.
Well, how did he get the dog?
We met up, and I made sure that he got along with
Where
Zeus.
did you meet up?
Somewhere by my house. I didn't feel comfortable having someone come to my house. So we met up at a park by my house.
And he said he would take the dog?
Yes, and Zeus really liked him.
Where's the dog now?
I have him.
Are you going to keep him?
Yes, now that I have help and after everything that happened, because I contacted this person after she told me that he was found, and I said, hey, I gave you this dog, he's been found on the streets, what's going on? And their first question was like, oh, what city did you find him in? And I'm like, what do you mean, what city? What city do you live in? That you're wondering what city he's in? And I said, well, do you still want him? And they were like, oh, yeah. And I didn't rate it, and they never tried to reach out to me, and I didn't trust it, so I just said, I'll figure it out and keep him.
Miss Calhoun.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're a very nice lady.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The defendant isn't responsible for your vet bills. It's unfortunate, but she's not responsible for your vet bills. She actually wouldn't even be responsible for your vet bills if it was her dog, but I actually believe that she had given the dog away to somebody else on Craigslist who was not a very, very good caretaker. She probably had miserable judgment in giving the dog to this person, but She was, too, going through a difficult period. So she probably, if she had more time, she might have investigated further into the character of the person she was giving the dog to. But this is pretty good advice. As a dog owner, I have small dogs. If I saw pit bull mix in my front yard, I would not bring it into my house with my 3 Shih Tzus.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
If I saw pit bull mix in my front yard, I would not bring it into my house with my 3 Shih Tzus.
I understand that, Your Honor, but at the time it was a holiday. I had nowhere to take them. I couldn't even call the Humane Society.
No, then you leave them outside and you keep your dog separated from until the holiday is over.
I tried my best to keep them separated, Your Honor, and she took full ownership for the dog the entire time. She never once told me that she gave them away. I even had to take the dog back to her. I drove the dog to her.
What I'm telling you is, you took the dog into your house.
I understand that, Your Honor. Trying to reunite it with its owner, because I could tell it had an owner.
Well, I believe her that at the time she had thought she had found a home in November and gave the dog to somebody else.
Well, she should have given me their information when we called her and asked her who the dog belonged to instead of taking ownership for it. Maybe they would have picked the dog up and it wouldn't have had the time to attack my dog.
Maybe. There are a lot of maybes, but mostly the maybe is maybe you should have let the dog stay in your yard.
And get hit by a car, Your Honor, or there's a lot of gang violence. Someone would have taken him in, and she wouldn't have her dog right now if I didn't take her dog in and do the right thing, Your Honor.
I'm telling you, you look like a very nice lady. You did a very nice thing. Unfortunately, what I'm telling you, I, who have little dogs, would not take a pit bull into my house that I found on the street.
I understand that, Your Honor.
I wouldn't. I would keep it in a garage.
I kept him outside. The only reason he was in the house at the time is because we were home. They were never once alone by themselves.
Okay, Miss Calhoun, you're not following me. I've made my decision. That's the good deed. But you allowed the 2 dogs to be together with food around. You fed them separately, but there was still food around.
That's what they thought of.
Goodbye, Miss Calhoun. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
It was a sweetheart deal for his girlfriend.
You left, and you left your daughter in his house. You got a free ride.
I did not get a free ride.
Free ride. Free ride.
Judge Judy.
She still has her dog back, only because I did the right thing by taking the dog in.
I'm very grateful to her to pick him up.
If I'd not taken the dog in, he'd probably be dead right now or in the pound.
I tried to do the right thing in picking him up and making sure he didn't go back to an irresponsible owner.
Couldn't get through. We couldn't get through with anyone. The best thing I could do was take him to the vet, which I did, found his chip, got a hold of his owner.
I do think it was her fault for bringing the dog in.
I tried to stop it. I couldn't stop it for fear of getting bit myself.
And she had told me that her dog started the fight.
He just got in between the big dog and his food bowl trying to protect his own food. The dog attacked him.
Even though it was a smaller dog.
So we rushed him to the hospital. They did what they could, but...
I absolutely feel really bad that, that happened to her dog.
It probably won't change. I'll probably still try to help animals because that's just who I am.
And, that my dog had to go through that ordeal because who knows what happened to him.
Their former roommate is back,
I left my washer, dryer, my fridge.
but she's demanding top dollar.
Is it a refrigerator that you're still using?
It is, and it's leaking all over the kitchen.
Great, she's going to come and get it.
So they're not going to have to pay me for their portion?
Do you have any questions about that?
No, I'm clear.
Perfect.
This is Judge Judy.
Brandy Brown is suing her former tenants, Jeremy Stith, his brother, Jared Stith, and Riley Dawson, for damaged and stolen property and unpaid utility bills.
Order. All rise. It's case number 433 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Stith Dawson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Brown, you were living in a house. Did you own the house or rent the house?
I rented the house, Your Honor.
So it didn't belong to you. How long had you rented the house?
I lived there for 7 years.
Did you have a lease?
No, Your Honor.
Who owns the house?
When I moved into it, my ex-mother-in-law owned the house.
Did you pay him rent?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
How much?
$1,100 a month.
And when did he take possession of the house?
It was April of 2016.
I'm going to cut through all the chafe. Eventually, your two nephews, raise your hand, two nephews, they moved into the house.
Yes.
You had somebody else there, one of your kids or something, they were moving out. You let two nephews move in, and they brought in a friend. That would be you.
Yes.
Your Honor, the friend did not move in until I got married and moved out.
That's okay. You moved out. In what month and year do you allege that they either damaged, destroyed, or took property that you own?
It was May of 2019.
Are you all still living in the house?
The two of us are.
Riley and myself, Jeremy has moved to the Bay Area.
So the two of you were living there?
Yes.
With anyone else?
Another roommate, Alex.
And who do you pay your rent to?
We pay our rent to a property management company that deals with John directly, the property owner.
And how much do you pay in rent?
We now pay $1,600 in rent.
And when you moved out, Miss Brown, when you got married, did you all sign a lease with the new property management company?
Yes.
That is correct.
Do you have a copy of that lease?
Yes, it's in here, right?
So this lease was executed the following month, June 1st, 2019. Now, it is your claim that at some point, there's no question that when you moved out in May, were they paying rent prior to your two nephews prior to your moving out?
Yes.
How much rent were they paying?
$625 they were paying to me.
When you moved out in May, what items did you leave there?
I moved out, however, in April of 2017. My son lived there until May of 2019. That's why my things were still there for the boys to use until my son moved out.
May of 2019.
That's when my son moved out, yes. I left my things, they had nothing.
What things?
Okay, when I moved out, I left my washer, dryer, my fridge.
Hold on. Washer.
All of my household items.
This isn't your house. This is a rental house. So is what you're telling me you purchased the washer,
Yes.
the dryer.
Yes. Yes, the stove and... I'm sorry.
Stove.
The fridge, the microwave, the air conditioners, the lawnmower.
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
And you have the bills for all of that?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. Well, something that's here for $1,000 was purchased in 2003.
Yes.
What was that?
It was a refrigerator.
Who was living in the house in 2003?
I brought the refrigerator when I moved in. I have no idea who was living there in 2003. When I moved in 2011, I already owned the refrigerator. I brought it with me, along with the stove and the microwave.
When you moved in, there was no refrigerator.
The house was empty.
And you brought in a refrigerator that you bought that's now 26 years old.
Absolutely, yes.
Is it a refrigerator that you're still using?
It is, and it's leaking all over the kitchen.
Great, she's going to come and get it. You would like that, right? Then you can get a new refrigerator.
It wouldn't be bad.
Right, she's going to come and get her 27-year-old refrigerator. This is a Lowe's.
I purchased a stove at the same time. That's 2003 as well.
Do you still have the stove?
We do.
She's going to come and get it. The 25-year-old stove.
Thank you.
This is a washer-dryer that was purchased October 9th, 2017.
Yes. The ones that I left there broke. I bought the new pair. My son was still living there.
Do you have the washer-dryer?
We do.
She's going to come and get it. I don't see any other receipts.
When I left that house, everything in that house, 98% of it was
All I'm telling you is those are the things that you're going to get. Your washer, your dryer, your stove, and your refrigerator within 5 days. Now you claim that the defendants owe you a gas and an electric bill.
Yes.
From what month to what month?
Well, this bill says it closed at 6/10 of 19.
June 10, 2019.
Yes. 5/13 to 5/20 of 19.
So for a week?
However, there was a previous balance.
Is what you're telling me that they owe you for a week?
There was a previous balance on there. I don't know the exact dates of the previous balance.
Well, then I can't help you. Maybe it was when your son was there.
It was when my son was there.
Then I don't care.
Well, they paid the bills. They divided them by 4. I'm only asking for a third. There's 3 of them. There's still there. My son paid his portion.
I don't know that.
Your Honor, so they're not going to have to pay me for their portion?
Well, so far, you're talking to me about a week's worth of electric and some appliances that are worth nothing.
Exactly.
That are going to cost you more to move, and I don't know what you're going to do with them. But if you want them, you go get them.
The issue, Your Honor, is that when I moved out, I told them they may keep my things. I married someone who also had a house full of furniture. When my son was leaving, I would come and retrieve my items. When my son told me, I didn't decide.
Listen, you can't tell me about the conversation that you had with your son. Right now, you have receipts of what you purchased that they say is still there, and you're going to come hire a moving company and pick up this old trash. Now, I want to know what bill that you are alleging they owe you.
The gas and electricity bill.
For the 1 week was how much?
The 1 week was $14.09.
$14. Now, what is the other balance that you allege?
It was $74.89.
And the entire bill?
Was $88.98. I paid it already.
So you've taken off your son's share?
No, my son paid his share.
I don't know that.
All right, you're right. I have taken off his share, yes.
So it's $74 divided by 4.
It was $88.98 divided by 4.
Well, then what did you say? What was 74?
Because the $74.89 was the previous balance. Then that 1 week after my son left was $14.09. And I also have a gas bill as well.
So you have an $88 bill. Is that correct?
$88.98, yes.
$66. Now, next.
The gas bill.
And how much was that?
Altogether was $72.76. We have the same problem with that back and partial.
And was that when your son was living there?
Yes.
18. 72 minus 18 equals $54. 54 plus 66 plus 14 equals $134. $134. You have any questions about that?
No, I'm clear.
Perfect. $134 is yours. You pick up your washer, dryer, stove, and fridge within 5 days, or they have the right to either keep it and consider it abandoned or trash it. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Do we have a counterclaim? Nothing. We're done here. Thank you very much. There's no
they
however.
They destroyed my property.
There's no however.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They destroyed my family's belongings.
It's unfortunate, for sure.
While I'm on the ground crying, the one boy was laughing.
She said I was laughing and that she was crying on the floor.
I don't mind about Jared, but I will never speak to Jeremy again.
Close the chapter. It's a great day.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Latin versus Alvarez. Step forward.
Letitia Latin is suing her ex-husband, Alan Alvarez, for unauthorized credit card charges.
Miss Latin, you and Mr. Alvarez were married, and then you were divorced. When were you divorced?
We got divorced in October of 2018.
And then you decided to... So when did you start living together again?
We never actually lived together again. He was living at his parents' house, and I was living at my parents' house as well.
So you never jointly owned an apartment after your divorce?
No, we did not.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
At some point, you gave him a credit card?
Yes, June of 2018.
What's the name of the credit card?
It is a Discover card.
And you gave him a Discover card that was in your name?
That is correct.
You made him a user on the card?
No, he was not an authorized user. So basically, he had asked me to utilize this card to be able to...
Just a second. He was not an authorized user?
No, he was not. So he asked to use this card to be able to pay for school. I gave it to him in June of 2019, and he basically had stated that he wanted to utilize it to pay for his upcoming classes. He stated that it would be no more than...
Did you ever use the card together?
Yes, Your Honor.
No.
Sure. You never used the card for any purpose together?
No,
All of the charges on the card since June of 2019 are his charges?
That is correct.
I'd like to see them.
Yes, I have all of the paperwork for you. So as you will see...
No. I just want to see. Well, we have Domino's Pizza in June. Who ate the pizza?
We both did.
No, he didn't eat $40 worth of pizza.
It may be him and his family, but once again, Your Honor, he had that card, so he could utilize it, you know.
Pay careful attention to me.
Yes.
Is what you're telling me in June, when you gave him the card, because that's when this first bill is, there's Domino's Pizza in Houston, Texas.
Yes, that was not my transaction. Once I gave him the card, once again, it had a $0 balance.
We're not going in the same direction. I didn't ask you whether he used it for some of his expenses. I asked you whether you ever used it jointly Like when you went out and grabbed dinner.
No.
You said no. Okay, he's going to tell me his side of the story, then I'm going to figure out who I believe.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Who was supposed to make the payments that were yours?
Or a verbal agreement between each other was I could make payments whenever I could.
You think that I'm going to believe that?
No, ma'am.
You think that I'm going to believe that? So
no, ma'am.
Why do you even go at it?
Letitia Latin is suing her ex-husband, Alan Alvarez, for unauthorized credit card charges.
Now, then we had a new balance. That's a big best. $2,000. Amazon, July 13th, $699. What did you buy?
Camera.
For whom?
I think she bought one.
No, you have a camera.
I bought one too.
He charged...
Shh. One camera, but then I have a Best Buy, and then I have an Amazon Marketplace for $587. Pay attention to me. Did you buy a camera?
I do not have a camera. So once again, what he did with that is basically he utilized the card to be able to buy these purchases. And I'm not sure what the $587 one was, but I do not have it in my possession. And once again, this card was supposed to be utilized only strictly for school. But
hey, you keep saying that, and what I'm telling you is I want to know that when you went someplace together, did you say, well, use the card?
No, we use mainly debit cards.
That's false.
No, that's correct. But we use mainly debit cards for purchases together, preferably not credit cards.
A new balance, and that was September, so somebody paid the bill.
Me, because I seen how high it was beginning to get. And
so, just a second, so you paid the bill?
Yes, I paid something on the bill. Because at that point, I had realized how much he was racking up on this card that was supposed to be utilized for school in August, only for $350, which I confronted him about. One payment for about $100 to be able to pay down the card, and then I put something else additional on it because I care for my credit, and I don't want that balance to be, you know,
So you made a payment in August?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, once I seen how much.
Just a second. Well, who charged 2 tickets on British Airways on August 3rd?
That would be him. He has a friend who was having a wedding in Italy or Rome, and so he said that he wanted to surprise me with a trip there. So he actually charged for that amount. And I have...
Just a second. I'm not getting involved with playing house with this. That's sort of your problem. I want you to show me proof of what you paid on the card.
I have proof of payments I made.
I didn't ask you anything.
I'll bring it up to you.
No. What is it?
I have my bank statements.
How much you paid on the card?
I've paid $460 on it.
Yeah, but the camera was more expensive.
Yes, ma'am, that's true.
Well, who was supposed to make the payments that were yours?
Or a verbal agreement between each other was I could make payments whenever I could after a split up.
Well, just a second. You could make payments whenever you could? You think that I'm going to believe that?
No, ma'am.
You think that I'm going to believe that? So
no, ma'am.
Why do you even go at it? Listen, I'm not...
Sure.
You clearly owe more than what you paid. Go outside and figure out what are yours. Did anybody go on this trip to Italy?
No, ma'am.
Well, somebody better return the tickets.
I have...
Just a second. Outside, figure out what you owe on the card. Whatever is a meal, pizza, Chick-fil-A, Olive Garden, I don't want to know from it. I only want to know what purchases are yours on this card.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And then I'll see you whenever I see you. Later rather than sooner, I hope.
This case will be recalled.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Courts don't get involved in this kind of business with 2 people that aren't married.
Yeah.
I'm saying you gave him your credit card, and there isn't a question in my mind that you and he used that credit card together for certain things. I am not dealing with that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
In a case earlier today, Letitia Latin is suing her ex-husband, Alan Alvarez, for unauthorized credit card charges.
All right, have you gone over the list of items that are there?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see what you've identified as your items.
She got the list.
Well, what items have you identified as yours?
A charge of $587 on Amazon Market. A combined charge of Domino's and Olive Garden, which comes out to $44.25.
And you didn't go there together. You went there alone.
I went with her.
No, he did not, Your Honor. And then also, in regards to those charges, I actually
I'm going to throw this back at you. What I asked you was $44. I'm not splitting a bill from Olive Garden. I want to know, what are your charges on this? Have you figured it out yet? And if not, you can go back, figure it out, what your charges. I don't want Olive Garden. I don't want Pizza Hut. I don't want Domino's Pizza. I want what your charges are. And if you can't do it, I'm sending you home.
I have my charges here, Your Honor.
Then what are your charges?
I have $206.10 for PayPal, and a combined of
what was $587?
Ma'am, it was a camera.
$587 for the camera.
Yes, ma'am.
What else?
The $206.10 for PayPal.
What did you do with that?
I went to a convention and.
What else?
And $277 for my insurance payment.
Insurance?
Yes, ma'am. Car insurance.
And that's what the two of you discussed and agreed to outside?
We did not agree. So once again, beginning of this, where he was stating that I, put some on the card, I was actually out of town, and I actually have documentation showing that I actually was on a cruise. So how can I partake in charging anything on these cards? And then once again, he also had sent me a list of text messages showing that he was aware that he owed a balance. He got mad at me because I didn't want to take him back and have intercourse with him, and this is where he got upset and no longer wanted to pay the balance.
Let me explain something to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Courts don't get involved in this kind of business with two people that aren't married.
Yeah, I understand.
We don't get involved with this. I'm being very kind to you.
Yes.
I'm saying you gave him your credit card, and there isn't a question in my mind that you and he used that credit card together for certain things. I am not dealing with that. I'm not splitting an Olive Garden bill, a Domino's Pizza bill. Did you return the plane tickets?
The plane tickets, I actually have...
That's a yes or a no?
No, I did not.
So you still have them?
Yes, in my possession, which I actually have seen that they will give me basically some type of credit for it. Good. But I don't think I should be held responsible for...
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
A style showdown in her consignment shop.
She grabbed my hair and started yanking it, and we started fighting.
Someone was arrested. That would be you.
Yes.
Judge Judy.
None of these charges were mine.
She told me I could do whatever. I did whatever.
He had cheated on me.
I did, but there's a reason why.
Just be more careful with who I trust my heart with, because apparently that did not work.
She's spiteful, angry.
You try to give people a second chance, it doesn't always,
She was the meanest person I've ever been with.
It was a sweet ordeal for his girlfriend.
How much money did you contribute to the house? Give me a rough figure.
$1,200.
That's a bargain in anybody's universe.
And their breakup wasn't the end of it.
You left, and you left your daughter in his house. You got a free ride.
I did not get a free ride.
Free ride.
This is Judge Judy.
Jennifer Adams is suing her ex-boyfriend, Mike Owens, for an unpaid loan and property damage.
It's case number 437 on the calendar, the matter of Adams versus Owens.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Miss Adams, this is what your case is about generally. You and Mr. Owens were a couple. You had lived in one place, then he bought a house. When he bought the house, according to you, in order to show that he had some money in the bank, he said to you, I need for you to pay some of the expenses in the house so that I can keep this balanced, and I'll give that back to you. So you consider that a loan. You and your daughter were living in the house with Mr. Owens, is that right?
Part of the time. I kept my apartment until August of 2019.
I don't care whether you kept your apartment or not. That doesn't matter to me whether you kept your apartment or not. I said you were living in the house with him, with your daughter.
My daughter only lived there from September 10th on.
From September 10th until when?
September 10th. Are you talking about me living there?
You.
I stayed off and on with him. I went back to my apartment and I stayed with him, going back and forth.
How much back and forth?
A lot. We broke up several times.
I don't care whether you broke up. You can break up and get angry and then come back. I read your complaint. You said you broke up and you moved out.
Correct.
Okay,
So
when you broke up and you
April.
moved, listen to me. If you have your own apartment, then you don't have things there. Because one of the things you sleep over at the defendant's house, that's a different story. Let me read the first sentence, because maybe I'm mistaking this case for another one. Mike and I were together for over a year. While dating, Mike said he wanted to buy a house for both of us, and I would not be responsible for any rent. He told me I should get rid of my apartment. That's the way you started. That doesn't sound like I kept my apartment. He lived in his house, and I would go back and forth and back and forth. That sounds as if you were living there as a couple with your daughter. So let's not play with me, okay?
Yes.
Unless you want to take back this complaint. No. And then I'll recall your case, and you can redo it consistent with the story that you're telling me now.
No, I stayed with him. She did not move in until the apartment was done. But like I said, there was some back and forth. But yes, I had stuff
I don't understand this back and forth. I don't understand what you're trying to do. What you're trying to do is confuse me, which is not easy to do, Miss Adams. Not easy to do. Because it seems to me, in this case, you want the best of both worlds. You have a daughter who's living with you, who was doing what?
Going to school and working.
Okay. And what was she doing with her money?
Paying her car payment and her insurance.
What was she doing to pay money for the house that she was living in?
In the apartment?
No, in his house. You left, and you left your daughter in his house.
Right.
That's what you said in here.
He said she did not have she did not pay him any money.
So you left him and your daughter in his house. You left, went back, I assume, to your apartment. Is that right?
No, my apartment was gone by the time I left.
Oh, so you got rid of your apartment. So it couldn't have been a back and forth.
That's what I was saying.
So you went someplace else.
September 10th.
You went someplace else, and you left your daughter, who wasn't paying any expenses in the house because she was going to college. I'm just getting my facts straight, so I understand what the situation is, Miss Adams.
So
you weren't paying him any money for the house when you were living there? You left your daughter in the house, whether for a month or 2 months or 3 months. How many months were you there? Count on, go just show me.
Until the end of January.
From what month to the end of January? How many months? Show me with your fingers.
Like 3 or 4.
So you were there for 3 or 4, well, you put up a lot of fingers. You were there for 3 or 4 months. You were there for 3 or 4 months after your mother left. These are not hard questions. These are very easy questions, and we're not talking about something that happened 20 years ago. We're talking about something that happened last year. How many months were you in the house with Mr. Owens after your mother picked up and left?
About a month and a half.
And how long were you there altogether with your mother?
Since September 10th.
With your 4 months altogether. Now, in the month and a half that you were there with Mr. Owens alone, that's what you say, you were there for a month and a half, did you pay any of the expenses for the house?
No.
Did you pay any expenses for the house? That's a yes or a no?
No.
How much money did you pay in expenses when you were living at Mr. Owens' house before you left? For you and your daughter?
Over $3,000.
And how did you pay the $3,000?
Cash and bills.
Okay, so you gave him cash, and that had nothing to do with the money that you're suing him for?
No, that is the money I'm suing him for.
Oh, so let me understand this. You and your daughter lived in the house for 4.5 months, and the expenses that you paid was zero if what you're suing him for is the money that you're suing him for now. So what you paid were bills.
Well, in addition to the money he borrowed from my taxes, I paid a bunch of his bills, which I have.
I'd like to hear
okay.
what bills you allege you paid for him and when.
I paid for bills when we were out of town, when he was working.
No. We're not sloughing over things. He was out of town working, and he put you on his bank account, correct? Yes. Who put money in that bank account? He physically wrote.
I paid out of my account. That's what I'd like to show you.
You paid not out of a joint account.
Correct.
You paid out of your account. On what date did you pay money out of your account, and for what bill?
Okay, well, one big one is part of the house payment, $166.
On what date?
That was on 7/8.
Go ahead.
I have Idaho Power.
That was out of your personal account?
Yes.
Idaho Power.
$60.
60 on what date?
6/3.
In June, so you June, July, August, September, October. What date did you move out of his house?
It was
what month?
January.
Of what year?
This year.
January of 2020?
Like I said, we...
Don't speak. So you paid a house payment and a power payment in June, which means you were there June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and you moved out in January, right? So that you were there 7 months, or you were there 7 months.
I was giving him money before we lived together.
Just a second. That's not what I asked you.
Okay.
We're talking about the house.
April is when the house was purchased.
You know that if what you're telling me is that the entire extent of your contribution were a couple of bills that you paid out of your personal account, and the $3,000 that was used to purchase the house, $166, a house payment out of your own account, we're done. You understand that, Miss Adams?
Yes,
you're
but that's not the
responsible. How
only
many
bills.
children did you have living in the house with you?
I had her son moved in.
Just a second. When did her son move in?
Probably around September. He moved in for about a month.
How old is he?
He's 19.
Did he contribute to the household?
No, and I have a statement here, too, for you.
I don't need a statement. Who else lived in the house other than her son for a month?
After
and then
he's
her daughter?
gone, Jacqueline moved in.
Did you have any children of your own living in the house?
No, I haven't.
Cumulatively, from April, when the house was purchased, until January, when her daughter moved out, can you give me a rough amount of money that she gave you towards the running of the house?
She never handed me any money at all. Everything was through debit cards that we used. And I do not receive any cash from her at all.
At the beginning, when you purchased the house, did you need to have any cash? Is that what she's talking about? She's talking about a particular amount of money. And she would now like me to say it was a loan that she gave you.
I got a loan from my sister for the house, right here.
I'm talking about money she gave you.
No.
A $2,700 payment?
No.
Show me the $2,700 payment. I just want to see it.
This page is marked when I gave him the $1,415 cash, and then on his account...
Just a second. Do you have any proof that you gave him $1,400 in cash?
I have him showing on his account that he deposited on the same day, $800 of it.
Do you remember that $1,400?
No, I do. When we purchased this house, there was two $800 deposited into the account, and Jennifer signed it and I signed it that it was not a loan.
You mean for the bank?
Yes, from the bank.
Okay. Miss Adams.
Yes.
In the 7 months that you and your children, one or both of them, lived in the house, how much money did you contribute to the house? Give me a rough figure.
Probably $1,200.
That's a bargain in anybody's universe. You and your 2 children lived in a house for 7 months, and it cost you $1,200. That's a bargain in anybody's universe. So I don't know what you're doing here. I have no idea what you're wasting my time for.
Can I explain to you?
I'm just telling you, if you gave him $1,200 during the time you were living there and another $3,000, so let's say if I believe you that it's $4,200 over a period of 7 months for you and your 2 children to live in his house, what I'm telling you is, I don't know what you're doing here. I don't know what you're doing here.
He told me I did not have to pay a thing.
Okay. Finished. Finito.
So you won't
Now,
look at all this?
No. You can take it and you can trash it.
What about the destruction of property? The destruction of property.
Well, when did you move out?
I moved out at the end of November, or the beginning of November 11th.
Just a second. Was any of your property, when you moved out the end of November, was any of your property prior to your moving out destroyed?
Yes. Well,
what? Just a second. Let's get it together. Prior to your moving out, because you don't write that in your complaint, very, very careful here. You move out the end of November.
November 10th.
Prior to November 10th, was any of your property destroyed? That's either a yes or a no.
No, the next day.
You moved out. He could take your property, throw it into a dumpster. He could do anything he wants with your property. You're gone. That's what you said. You're gone. If you want to be gone, if you want to be gone and move your property, I mean, it's not that you moved out and said, I assume, that said, I'm going to be back and pick up my property little by little.
Yes, I did. And he was fine with that.
And did, just a second. So when you moved out, you said to him, I'm going to be back for my property.
Yes.
Little by little. And what did he say to you when you said, I'm leaving my daughter, I'll be back for my property little by little? What did he say to you? Did he say that was okay?
Yeah, up until
what happened?
When I sued him.
Listen to me. I'm asking you a question. My question to you is a simple one. When you said, I'm leaving you, I'm going to be back and forth to get my property,
right?
Did he say to you, that's fine?
Yes.
Is that what you said to
No.
her?
I have text messages.
I'd like to read them.
All right.
Just give me the ones that say, I'm coming back for my property and it's fine, and then you'll tell me what it was that he destroyed.
This just shows that we've been friends the whole
I don't
time.
care whether you've been friends
Okay.
from the umbilical cord.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was a nice man. You were friends for a long time. You got a free ride. So did your son. So did your daughter.
I did not get a free ride.
Free ride. Free ride.
No, you're not understanding.
Free ride.
No.
Free ride.
Jennifer Adams says ex-boyfriend Mike Owens owes for a loan and property damage. Mike is countersuing for stolen money, lock-changing costs, and harassment.
Just give me the ones that say, I'm coming back for my property and it's fine. He destroyed.
Okay.
This has to do with couches.
Yes.
And this was on December 25th. So this is like a month after you moved
Oh, yeah,
out.
I had stuff there until January.
Who cares? I don't care if you had stuff there. You weren't there. You weren't paying rent. He can take your stuff and he can throw it out. Now, you gave him a whole list of stuff that you wanted him. I need my spice rack, coffee pot, TV upstairs, couch, motorcycle, plastic chairs out back, TV stand in the front room. See, you were living there.
Yeah, once we moved out of the
Just a
apartment.
second. You were living there with your kid. I'm not paying for it. Now, did you get your couches?
Yes.
Did you get your spice rack?
Yes.
Did you get your motorcycle?
Yes.
And what are you complaining that he broke?
Here's a picture of my mirror that was against the wall. He took everything out of the closet, which you can show. He broke the nightstand and he threw all the stuff in a corner and broke the mirror out. Plus, I have 4 shoes where I only have left shoes. I'm missing clothing, which I have pictures of his girlfriend wearing.
I don't care.
But the mirror was the big thing, and I have an estimate for it.
Okay. And when was it broken?
The day after, he
How do you
sent me
know
a text message.
Let me see the text message about the broken mirror. Just show me
That's from my
where
daughter.
he says he broke the mirror and how it got broken.
Oh, I guess it says he blew up and he's packing my stuff out. That's when he broke the mirror.
Just tell me.
And that's from my daughter when she showed up right after
Where's
the mirror
Mike?
got broke.
Did he break the mirror? Yeah. And helping me clean up, but we're okay. You sure you're okay? Do you want me to go down and stay at home? No, I'm sorry. I'm going to stay, all clean up this mess, and it's okay. Would you please show me where he says he broke the mirror?
I was mistaken.
Were you
It says
there?
he blew up.
I came home to it.
Okay. You came home, but you didn't see how it broke.
Yes, and he told me he broke it and that he was sorry and that he just got agitated.
Okay. Well, you want to tell me how the mirror broke?
When I was packing her clothes out of the closet, I threw them in a corner. The mirror was leaning up against the wall. It did fall over and break.
So it was an accident.
It was an accident. And
Move
then same
on.
thing with the nightstand.
Move on.
Do you want the picture?
No. Yeah, you don't seem to understand. He was a nice man. You were friends for a long time. You got a free ride. So did your son. So did your daughter.
I did not get a free ride.
Free ride. Free ride.
No, you're not understanding
Free
my...
ride.
No.
Free ride.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Sympathetic with you, but you're playing on a joint bank account. She went and took out $1,254. Did you close the joint checking account? Okay, this is your very good friend.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jennifer Adams says ex-boyfriend Mike Owens owes for a loan to pay for living expenses while he was buying a house.
Now, you lived with him at least from April until January of this year, and all told you paid $4,000 for you and your kid, who were living with him, who he took care of. And when you left him, and clearly it wasn't a happy time between the two of you, because according to you, he was angry that you just left, and he was packing up your stuff, something broke by accident.
I don't believe that.
But I don't care what you believe. Actually, madam, I don't know what you're doing here.
He borrowed money, and I have it on recording.
I'm just telling you. I've given you my answer with regard to that.
Would you like to hear the
We're
recording?
done. I asked you from April until January how much cash money you spent on yourself, your daughter, and your son who were living in his house. Do you work?
Yes.
What do you do?
I do accounting, accounts receivable, about...
Work 8 hours a week.
Yes.
You must be a very high hourly paid person.
No, I'm on disability. I'm sick.
So you also get disability?
Yes.
For how long?
Since 2003.
Is there any reason why you can't work more than 2 hours a day?
Yes, I'm very sick.
Okay. Now, did she return your keys?
She UPS'd them at the end of January after she kept entering my house with my girlfriend living there.
Okay. You now have a new girlfriend?
Yes.
Does she pay rent?
Yes, she does.
Okay. Now, your countersuit mainly is this, that she took out from the joint account $1,254.
Yes.
You had put her on your joint account, she says, because she paid bills when you were out of town.
When I was purchasing the house.
Because she's telling me that she paid other bills out of her own account.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sympathetic with you, but you're playing house with somebody. You're an idiot to put somebody on a joint bank account and put money in it. She went and took out $1,254. Did you close the joint checking account? Okay, this is your very good friend. Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com.
Now, then the other thing is, in July of 2019, you took a trip. It was supposed to be her treat. Borrowed money. You had to pay her father back for it. I don't care about that. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
You're living together. You're playing house. I don't get involved with that. We have divorce courts for that, but we don't have courts for almost people who are almost living together. Are you all happy now? You have a new girlfriend, right, who's living and paying rent?
Yes.
Sounds like a keeper to me.
It is.
We're done.
Oh, yeah.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
This scam went into overdrive.
She asked us if we wanted the vehicle for $500.
A new Tesla.
We were fools for believing her.
No, you were more than fools.
Judge Judy.
I think she was really mad because I got another girl living in the house.
Everything was fine until he moved in the girlfriend.
She kept telling me she had nowhere to go, nowhere to put it, and so I just left it there.
That doesn't pay rent, that gets food stamps, and they live off it.
You know, so I kept telling her that she needs to get her stuff out. And
so the whole thing is just a bunch of lies.
Just keep the trash out.
Don't date the